Have you ever met someone who argues with absolute confidence, but makes absolutely no sense? They're loud, they're certain, they never doubt themselves, and yet they're completely wrong. Psychology says this behavior isn't always arrogance. Sometimes it's something deeper. The first concept is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is when people with low competence overestimate their understanding. Why? Because to recognize ignorance, you need a certain level of intelligence. If someone lacks knowledge in a subject, they also lack the awareness to see their own gaps. So they speak boldly, not because they're experts, but because they don't know enough to question themselves. Second, lack of curiosity. One of the strongest indicators of intelligence isn't grades, it's curiosity. Intelligent minds ask why. They explore different angles. They enjoy learning. But cognitively limited thinking often avoids depth. New information feels threatening. Complex ideas feel overwhelming. So instead of exploring, they dismiss. Third, black and white thinking. Psychology calls this cognitive rigidity. The world becomes simple, right or wrong, good or bad, us or them. Nuance requires mental flexibility, and flexibility requires cognitive effort. When someone cannot hold two perspectives at once, debate becomes personal instead of logical. Fourth, emotional impulsivity. Research shows that lower cognitive processing ability often correlates with poor emotional regulation. Instead of pausing and analyzing, they react. Anger replaces reasoning. Volume replaces evidence. It feels powerful, but it isn't thoughtful. Fifth, constant blame. Psychologists describe something called an external locus of control. This is the belief that life happens to you, not because of you. When someone consistently blames others, society, or luck, it often reflects an inability to self-evaluate. Self-reflection requires cognitive depth. Blame requires none. And finally, resistance to disagreement. Intelligent people can separate identity from opinion. They can say, I might be wrong. But when someone sees disagreement as disrespect, it signals fragile reasoning. Because debating ideas requires mental stamina, and not everyone has trained that muscle. Low intelligence isn't about education level. It's about thinking patterns. It's about self-awareness, curiosity, emotional control, flexibility. And here's the paradox. The less aware someone is, the less likely they are to realize it. So instead of asking, who has low IQ, a better question is, how often do you question yourself? Because true intelligence doesn't shout certainty. It welcomes doubt. And that difference changes everything.